Dipole moment of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is an example for non-polar molecule. Now the question comes, CO bond is there, which has got more difference in electronegativity, but still the molecule is non-polar. Now what's the reason behind it? We are going to understand now. If you consider CO bond, among carbon and oxygen, definitely oxygen is more electronegative. The arrow should be pointed towards oxygen. Similarly, here also it should be pointed towards oxygen. Why dipole moment is equal to 0 for this? Polar non-polar molecule means dipole moment is equal to 0. I told you it's a vector sum. The dipole moment of the left hand side bond is exactly cancelled with the other bond. Since it is 180-degree, and also dipole moment of this bond and this bond is exactly opposite to each other. Let's say this is minus 20 is the dipole polarity. Other bond will be plus 20. It is exactly cancelled. Therefore, the resultant dipole moment will be 0. As a result, the molecule becomes non-polar. Even though it has got polar bonds, even though it has got polar bond, the molecule is a non-polar molecule. It has got a polar bond, no doubt about it. But as the overall dipole moment will be 0. Similarly, if you consider NH3, among nitrogen and oxygen, nitrogen and hydrogen, more electronegative element is this nitrogen. Therefore, the arrow should be pointed towards nitrogen. The resultant also this side. All the vectors are adding up at one point. Therefore, mu is not equal to 0. Here, the value of dipole moment is not equal to 0. Therefore, the resultant molecule is polar. It's a polar molecule. Now, we can compare the polarity of NH3 with NF3. I'm going to write the structure now. NF3 is similar structure. By looking at the molecule, we might assume that NF3 is more polar. We might assume that NF3 is more polar compared to NH3. But the experimental value says that it is NH3 which is more polar. How to justify? We have NF bond wherein fluorine is the most electronegative element in the periodic table. So the reason is, if you consider nitrogen and fluorine is more electronegative. Therefore, the arrow should be pointed like this. These three vectors are adding at one direction. The resultant is the other side. Therefore, the vector sum of these three bonds will be cancelled with the resultant, but it is not exactly cancelled. Therefore, mu is not equal to 0. Here also it is a polar molecule because the polarity of these three bonds are not exactly cancelled. Some value will be cancelled, not the entire value. Therefore, it has got the value, but definitely it is lesser compared to NH3.